Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Ikaricast Classic. I'm Fighter Xaos, host of this channel.
And I'm 16-bit Jeff.
And sorry about that wait, folks. Real sorry. Jeff would know. What happened was my graphics tablet and my headset both decided to break at the same time. And this happened, a month ago?
Month and a half, yeah.
And it took about that long thankfully, I'm so glad. I want to thank everyone, Wheels, Olga, you, Jeff, for spreading the word, Capricia, Ed, Bullet Beast, so many of you. I can't remember right now, but thanks to good friends like you, I'm back in business, and me and Jeff are back recording.
Yep.
That was a scary couple of months.
That was a fun couple of months.
I mean, yeah, me and Jeff were just texting each other all the time, like, yo, what's up? It's just like, it'd be so much easier if we could just talk.
Mm.
But yeah, that's me. What do I have here in the agenda, Jeff? Before we talk about our topic, I also have, what's this? An announcement?
Yeah, you have a lot planned, including this. Why don't you explain to the audience what you have planned?
So, from here on out, I don't know when I'll start. I'm shooting for next Tuesday to have a video out. I'm starting a new series called The Drop, which is basically like this, except instead of one topic, it's like the topics of the week, and it's just me by myself just chatting about them. I already kind of made a little title card. What's it called? That's for T.
Title card?
Template for the title card.
Yeah.
And I'll be talking about stuff. It's looking like I'll be talking about Persona and KOF and I don't know, the Scorpio, which we already talked about here. It might be redundant if we talk about it again. Whatever news.
It kind of would, because we're talking about we're going to be talking about it. So,
so definitely Persona and KOF, especially Persona, because they did some stuff that kind of irks basically everybody.
Ooh.
Jeff knows what. Do you know what I'm talking about, Jeff?
No. I don't know what this vexion's about, but I'm kind of curious to know what it's about. Or I'd like to know.
I'll tell you. I'll talk about it more in depth there, but I'll just tell you what Atlas' decision was. Atlas said, "Hey guys, you want to stream or do Let's Plays? Screw you. You can't stream past the point in the game past July 7th in the game, and it'll block recording and it'll block streaming."
Wait, in regards to Persona 5, isn't that like the first 15 or 20 minutes of the game?
I think.
What?
Yep.
Oh, Atlas, why?
Yes. Look forward to me ranting about that on The Drop.
Oh, I will.
And also, I'll be planning live streams, and these are a little weird. Whenever Jeff is available, I'll definitely try and have him on. I'll try and stream on my Twitch, on the not the Geek Fighters. This is Geek Fighters production, but on the Game Riffers Twitch, which is our gaming segment of the Geek Fighters. Yes, I said it. I don't know what other people will say, but as the boss, that's what I said. Game Riffers is the gaming subsidiary of the Geek Fighters. Purely gaming. Here we talk games, but we also talk about everything else. That's why we're not considered Game Riffers. We're the Geek Fighters.
Yep.
And the last stream, like I said, picardo.tv/fightercows. Leave a link for that. And twitch.tv/thegameriffers when it's me and Jeff. If it's me solo, I'll probably be on my own Twitch, but I don't see myself doing that often.
Mm.
The reason why I mentioned the Game Riffers Twitch is because we have a Let's Play that we want to finish called Thousand Arms.
Oh, yeah.
And I was thinking me and Jeff could just, finish that out live.
By streaming it, yeah.
Put the archives on the Game Riffers YouTube. Which again, leave a link. That's our gaming subsidiary. And Picardo, because sometimes me and Jeff will want to do like a long-form version of Ikaricast, and I was thinking that'd be like a very, very chill, no-planned version of it where I'm just doodling and then me and Jeff will just talk, or just me by myself if he's not around. And those are my announcements. How about you, Jeff?
None at the moment.
I know you have reviews planned.
Yes, reviews, but that's what I basically have for the moment.
Okay.
But anything can change in the near future, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah. And I think that's it for our little housekeeping bit.
Mm-hmm.
We're still, let me see how we are with time. We're 5 minutes in. Alright, so, like I said, we're talking about the Xbox Scorpio. Jeff, when was this revealed?
This was revealed early in the morning at 5, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time from the good folks over at Digital Foundry /Eurogamer.net. And a lot of people are shocked because a lot of people accuse of Digital Foundry, and I hate that they use this freaking term. They have called them Digital Foundry or Pony Foundry because they have been more on the side of Sony this generation, which I disagree.
It seemed pretty fair to both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're just pixel counters, and they're just saying which version console-wise is the best one to play in regards to multiplats, which in most cases has been the PlayStation 4 this generation.
And we have no name for it. Is it still just a Scorpio?
Yeah, it's still known as the Scorpio. We don't even know what the console is, given the rundown of the specifications.
All right.
And speaking of which, if you want to see the full breakdown, I strongly suggest reading or watching Digital Foundry's video on the breakdown, courtesy of Richard Letterbed, the one who went to Seattle to have not only eyes on but also hands on with it actually running. So I would highly recommend watching it to get the full details of what type of power this upcoming refreshed console is going to have compared to its competitor, the PlayStation 4 Pro. Speaking of specifications, these are the simplistic breakdown specifications, courtesy of r/Xbox One. The CPU, sadly, and this was blatantly obvious, it is not Ryzen, the recent AMD CPU chip, because that just came out. Literally just came out 2 months ago. But the CPU is an evolved variant of the already existing AMD Jaguar CPU that's already in the Xbox One 2013 model and the Xbox One S. That's been overclocked to 2.3 gigahertz. The GPU, some have been comparing it to either the recent AMD RX 470. No, I'm sorry, that was for PS4. But some people have been comparing the power of the GPU inside of Scorpio. Granted, these are targeted. They even though they might be finalized, let's be blunt, they're still targeted until they've been manufactured. But for what we're getting at, it sounds close to that of a GeForce 1070 at best in regards to GPU power. The RAM, surprisingly, is the one I'm really impressed with, because I was expecting just 8 gigs, like the PlayStation 4 Pro. This thing has 12 gigabytes of GDDR5. I did not expect that whatsoever. Memory bandwidth is 326 gigabytes per second, and the standard hard drive is a terabyte, 2.5-inch HDD, which is the standard, just like in the recently released Xbox One S last year. So that was basically the short and simplistic breakdown of the recently announced specifications for the upcoming Xbox Scorpio. Now, what are our thoughts on the specifications?
Right.
Well, why don't you go first, Jerry?
Yeah, I have a feeling I'll be shorter.
Right.
Just a hunch.
Right.
When I look at this, the original X-Bone, I call it the X-Bone, whatever. I don't mean that's a derogatory term. Right, Jeff? You know me.
I mean, hell, I'm an Xbox fan. I'm complete. I mean, it's the abbreviation of the damn console.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not. So anyways, I just thought of a really inappropriate joke that I won't tell here. So,
But you'll tell after.
yeah, exactly. So, it has 8 custom x86 cores at 2.3 gigahertz. If I remember correctly, the original had 1.7 gigahertz. 1.8.
Yes.
So that's definitely a significant improvement. The memory is what, like Jeff said, he's very impressed, because I am too. It's not only 12 gigs, but it's GDDR5. If you don't remember, the Xbox One and the PS4 both had 8 gigs of RAM, but the PS4 used GDDR5, and the Xbox One used an older version that was slower. So I'm glad to see that they upgraded to the newer type of RAM sticks.
Right.
And the GPU, this, you said, this part I'm kind of iffy on. Like, what you say it was comparable to?
To that of a GeForce 1070.
Okay. I've seen those things in action. Those are pretty darn good. Pretty darn high quality. So, and from what I've seen, it also has forced anti-filtering and super sampling for older games.
Yep.
Which, if you don't know, that makes the older games look good. Look more in line. Most of the time.
Overall performance is better than what it currently is.
And it also has HDMI 2.1 support, not just 2.0.
Yep.
So basically, looking at that, the thing I'm impressed with is the GPU, now that I know what it's comparable to again, because I guess I spaced when Jeff said it earlier. And that the RAM is upgraded to GDDR5, which again I said is a faster RAM stick than it used. I think GDDR3?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
It actually, the original Xbox, the 2013 model, See, even the police are calling BS.
Yeah. No, what'd you say?
The Xbox One, the 2013 model, used 8 gigs of DDR3.
Yeah,
And 32
DDR3.
megabytes of ES RAM.
See, that's what I'm saying. So it upgraded to GDDR5. And basically, to sum up again, this is a bigger jump from Xbox One. If you don't know, like I said, it had a slower core speed. Like I said, it was like 1.7 gigahertz. A weaker graphics, a weaker GPU, slower RAM, and less of it. This thing seems like a bigger jump. Whereas and I'm a PS4 fan, like I'm the Sony fan around here. And the PS4 Pro seems kind of such a minuscule jump from the original PS4 compared to this, where it actually does seem like a Xbox One and a half, unlike with the PS4, where, and Jeff has said this before, and I've said it off camera too. I think Jeff said it first. The PS4 Pro feels like a PS4 0.25 or 0.2. You know?
Yeah, like the PS4. I've said before, like it's a 1.2, where the Xbox One Scorpio, from what was described, sounds more of a Xbox One 1.5.
Yeah, like so, like one and a half, like a whole
like
extra,
an actual jump. Yeah,
an actual jump. It doesn't seem fully next gen, but I don't think that was their goal here. But their goal was definitely to add significantly more power than before, which it did.
Right.
Now, my only concerns are PS4 Pro has this weird thing with patches. You have to download a whole big patch just to make your game compatible with the extra features. I wonder how Microsoft's going to tackle that with when you buy a Scorpio, whatever it's going to be called. How are they going to add support? Is it going to be... I doubt every game's going to be
funny. It's funny
available that quick. Yeah?
It's funny you mentioned. Because I just found this out courtesy of Eurogamer.
Oh, breaking news.
And I quote, "With some PS4 Pro titles, we've been vocal in our criticisms of game modes locked to specific display types. If a title has had high-resolution models, 1080p display users should get super sampling, something that doesn't always happen even on Sony first-party games. Part of Microsoft's commitment to the 1080p user is that super sampling is mandated. So if a Scorpio title runs at a higher frame rate or resolution, it must downsample for full HD screens."
Okay, so that's for the 1080. So
yes.
So what's their plans for adding support for those who have the 4K and want the extra power?
I can't say much, but I heard that when you go to the display of the Xbox One S, That is actually running at 1080p, but on the Scorpio, that's full 4K. The only time when it goes to 1080p was like when you go into like the sub menu to like go through game DVR, that type of thing.
It's another siren.
Yep.
It's the neighborhood I live in, people.
Yeah.
That's Jeff knows where I live.
Oh yeah.
There they go. It's another SUV, dude.
Mm.
Excuse me. Pardon me for the violence around my house. Whatever's going on. Where was I? Shoot.
Oh, you were asking me
I was about the 4K. So
yeah.
My thing is okay. You mentioned the menus and the super sampling, but
yes.
My concern, like I said, for the PS4 Pro, they're doing it such a clunky way. You got to download a patch for the game.
Oh
like,
yeah.
When you get a specific game into that Scorpio, my concern is that game going to be good to... At least the new ones. I get the old ones for the download patch, but at least the new ones, are they going to be good to go right out the box for 4K for whatever enhanced features the Scorpio can give that game compared to the original Xbox One?
From what I was watching the original video, courtesy of Digital Foundry, I think the best way to explain it is like when I told you behind the scenes before we started recording today, that when Mr. Letterbed described that... The screenshot that I showed you, that was Forza Horizon 3 running supposedly on the finalized hardware. That it's excuse me, that it was done in 2 days, and basically it was using 66% of the full capacity of the CPU, the evolved Jaguar variants inside the Scorpio. So what I'm basically getting at is that I don't think it'd be like the patches we've been getting, the unnecessary patches. Like think of it as that there is the recent boost mode in the PlayStation 4 Pro.
I hope
instead of the unnecessary patches, because that's what it sounded like to me when they were describing how they ported the Xbox One version of Forza Horizon 3 to the finalized supposed specs of Scorpio.
Well, that's me. Those are my concerns and my praise. I just realized that we're going longer than we thought. I thought I'd be short.
I know.
Well, maybe I should cut in when you talk. Maybe that'll help. Jabs it. Hey, go ahead, Jeff.
Well, like how Jerry said, it's known that he's more of a PlayStation guy, so too is with me on this podcast being the Xbox guy. I've been like this since we started the Geek Fighters all the way back in late 2009, early 2010. Yeah, it's been a given. And it's also been a given and a big known that I was not the biggest fan of the Xbox One, even with its initial announcement back in early 2013. Even this guy can attest to that, too.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
I think Xbox, the overall division has changed for the better, not only for the head of the Xbox division, which is Phil Spencer, but I forget the guy's name, but the guy who was in charge of making the current devices for Microsoft, which includes the Xbox brand. Again, I forget the guy's name, but I think most importantly, this is the right step in the right direction, because we won't know until E3, but there's been recent rumors going around, specifically from Jez of Windows Central, that supposedly the Scorpio is going to be smaller than the Xbox One X, the S. So that's going to be interesting going forward. But concurrently talking about the here and now, the specifications of the system itself, if these are true, and I'm saying it that way, I'm not saying it to bash Microsoft. I'm glad that they went to Digital Foundry because they're the most trustworthy of sources in regards to, looking at games running in their native, setting, whether on console or PC. These sound like these are finalized, but I would only use finalized spec as legitimate wording when a console first goes into manufacturing, because to me this is just nothing more than, on paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. On paper it sounds good. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Obviously in practice, you've seen a little bit, but...
Yeah, a little bit, yes. Like, in a sense that these are the finalized, but these are still nothing more than practice, basically. This is what they are trying to achieve, basically, not finalized until it goes to manufacture, which, if I'm suggesting, might be very soon that we might think, because June is almost around the corner, and that's going to be when its debut at least its name and its look. Most specifically their pricing, which I'll get to in a bit. But the specifications, I'm a little disappointed they are still using Jaguar, but I'm glad to hear that it's more of a beefed up version compared to the original 2013 model that was used in the original Xbox model. And I'm glad to hear the bottlenecking issues are completely gone, supposedly. GPU, to basically comprehend how these two are different in regards to the Pro and the upcoming Scorpio. The Pro's GPU supposedly is equivalent to the AMD RX 480, whereas the Scorpio is more of, like I said earlier, the GeForce 1070. Memory, again, like Jerry said recently, a couple minutes ago, I'm very, very highly impressed with the 12 gigabytes of GDDR5 RAM, specifically that the 8 gigs are dedicated directly towards gaming, which I think is the best. I'm glad it has a faster bandwidth of memory compared to the original model. And honestly, what I'm expecting for price, which I'll get into in a bit, or I should say we'll get into a bit. The hard drive, I was expecting 2 terabytes, honestly, but a 1 terabyte standard I'm completely fine with. Overall,
maybe they'll announce a different SKU.
Maybe, who knows? For all we know, there could probably be 2 SKUs announced, although like what happened with the Xbox One S last year's E3. You're completely right. But overall, like I said, I've been an Xbox fan, and this may sound me being biased, but this has come from someone who has not only owned a basic PlayStation 4, but just recently purchased a Pro, and I'm happy for what it is. I said it before, I said it again. This reassures my feelings of the Pro that it was announced too effing soon.
You just reminded me of a point I was going to make about how Sony jumped the gun and Nintendo jumped the gun.
Mm-hmm.
Unrelated, but when you hear stuff like the Pro not being that big of a jump, but at least it's solid, and the Nintendo Switch being good, but the hardware build apparently is real shoddy, where people mentioned the dock would get scratched, and people said, "Oh, that's just if you misuse the dock." Well, how do you explain a guy who doesn't, who leaves the Switch in the dock all day, doesn't take it out, and yet the Switch console still warps?
Yep.
That's one thing. Even though I'm not, like Jeff, a big Xbox fan, I'll give them their due because they actually took their time.
Yeah, they did their homework.
Yeah.
They learned from mistakes of the 2013 model that was the Xbox One, and especially the reception and backlash they got, rightfully so, for that reveal. Because isn't it kind of funny that when you look back, the 2013 reveal of the Xbox One back in May, before E3, you cannot tell me that we kind of saw history repeating itself with the late 2016 reveal of the PlayStation 4 Pro, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't want Sony to fail and I don't want Microsoft to fail, but I said it before and I'll say this again. This is why I like it when no one is at the top, when they're not number one. Exactly. Because when you're number one, whether you're Nintendo, Microsoft, or Sony, you become 2 things: arrogant, and most importantly, lazy.
Yep.
Because you know what, and that's the thing that pisses me off about Sony. That, again, I'll test. I like the PlayStation 4 Pro for what it is, but it could have been so much better and better handled. Especially like you said, the patches. Like when you look at the patches that were made, they were pointless because they just released that boost mode, which without the patches does a way better job, funny enough.
Huh. Look at that.
So it makes you wonder if they really jumped the gun, and I really think they did, and that's a shame. But it kind of makes you wonder, not only with the Scorpio, but with the Pro, these are known refreshers. These are the first official upgraded consoles we had in a long, long, long time. Because this idea is nothing new, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, people think mid-gen console buffs are new. No, they're not.
No, God, no. They started way back in the Sega / Super NES days back in the early 90s.
Yep.
But my point is this. with the Pro and the Scorpio, is this going to be a longer generation compared to last generation, or is this going to be the short? Because I know you joked about this in the past behind the scenes, dude.
Yep.
I have this weird sinking feeling that the PlayStation 5 is going to be announced mid to late 2019.
But yes, I remember clearly telling you off camera, when we're not recording, about how I had this exact same weird feeling that this generation is going to be real short.
Mm-hmm.
And we're about 6 minutes over, so what's your final thoughts?
Overall, I'm not only impressed, but or positively surprised compared to when Digital Foundry announced the specs of what was then known as PlayStation 4 Neo for a leak. That needs to be important for a leak compared to how they just went to Seattle at Microsoft themselves to get the whole full detail. Yeah, again, Digital Foundry is biased, right? I'm glad of what I heard, and I can't wait to E3. The only thing I'll say is this. I'm expecting at least the price. We won't know the price until E3, but from what was given, I expect it to be around $450, $499 at best. I can't see them selling this at a loss for $399. Can you?
No, especially if it's a beefed up model.
No, that, but a beefed up model that has a beefier memory RAM and especially a new beefier somewhat GPU.
Beefy model.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah. But what I'm getting at is that I'm sold on the hardware.
Yeah.
Now the thing that they need to sell me on is software.
Exactly.
Because, and like I said, we can be both a little biased once in a great moon.
Oh yeah.
On our specific platforms. How did you feel when Shohei Yoshida said, "Oh, we don't know why our consoles are selling this amazing"?
Y'all know why.
It's hype!
Yeah.
Undeserved hype! Like, don't get me wrong, like, I don't care if I'm sounding biased, but on one hand, I'm glad that Sony has made a complete turnaround for 50 million units sold worldwide, but at the same time, can you see really it was justified with how lackluster the software's been on their end too this generation? It's not only been Microsoft, it's both, I say.
Well, I think for the first year, but lately
they've
been doing good.
Couple years, you know what I mean? I feel like history tends to repeat
totally
itself
undeserved.
sometimes, you know what I mean?
They had no games the first year.
Yeah, but they're starting to get there now, thankfully, especially this year, like with games like Neo and Horizon Zero Dawn, you know what I mean? Let's just hope that whatever Microsoft has plans, because they supposedly have big plans, they knock it out of the park. More importantly, I don't care if it's third-party exclusives, I don't care if it's first. They need to have a compelling lineup, especially a launch lineup for Scorpio.
Well, all right. We're way over. So,
final thoughts on your end, dude.
I already said them.
Okay, never mind.
Well, we just gotta plug if there's anything. I already plugged in the beginning, so I don't know if there's anything else. Follow us on Twitter.
Yeah.
Which is splattered everywhere on the sides and on the top.
And the description, too. Yep. Don't forget about the description of the this episode, too. Yeah, you can also look over our work for Hero Club. That's hero/club.com. And speaking of which, thank you. And speaking of which, be on the lookout for my upcoming review for Resident Evil 7 Biohazard for the Xbox One.
Yes. Check out Broken Infinite for comic reviews and everything else. I guess. I mean, I got webcomics. I'll put those in the link. Check out my webcomics and check out my Facebook fan page. That's where you'll get announcements and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it, because we're over.
All right.
Nimyo. Kanryo.